Yeah, we remember you when you used to screw up on Tuesday nights. Yeah. Anybody else? One or two more before we get into the next? Yeah. Great to see you. Welcome. From all of the way in Sandpoint.
Hi, I don't know if I can remember how to use one of these things. Jane Fritz is my name, and wow, Norvel. I used to produce programs out of KPBX back in the 90s a lot. And Norvel, this was, pre-BBC days. And Norvel was the overnight shift operator, and I would come in from Sandpoint because I could only use the studio to produce for National Native News and other programs when people went home at 5, right? So I would be working overnight and bring my sleeping bag and sleep on that lovely carpet for a couple of hours, survive. And anyway, we just got to know each other really well because, as an overnight host and operator, it was just, or maybe I don't remember if the BBC was it playing? Okay. Well, anyway, he was there all night though. Nothing was automated. And I'd be producing, and if I got stuck, because I was a pretty novice producer, and learning by the seat of my pants in a way, and Vern's help and so on, he would always help me. But probably the most, so we'd get into really deep conversations. And this is long before he met Zan. And this was a difficult time of his life. He had candida that was really, took a lot of his energy and health. It was a really tough time in his life. So we would share, he would talk about how he felt, and life was really tough for him at that time. And, but he always had this ability to, really give to others. And I was a huge recipient of that. He literally saved my life once. I had gone to Russia, to Siberia to cover this nuclear conference with Doug Van Voorden. Is Doug here today? No. Anyway, and before when we got to Frankfurt, Germany, we were flying to Siberia, Doug gave me this piece of equipment. I was this new producer who had just scrounged equipment from, pawn shops and stuff, and dented microphones, etc. Anyway, he gave me this new pair of headphones from this grant that KPBX had received. And so I, promptly was really pleased and used them. But the result of that was every time I would hear this great sound in my head, it was so loud, I would turn down the voice levels of the recorder. So literally I was taping hiss most of the time. So I'm across the globe, for 10 days doing this amazing stuff. I had gotten an assignment from Monitor Radio to do this worldwide program. So I get to the studio with my script ready to produce, and I was horrified listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't use this stuff. And I was like this far from jumping out the window, the second floor of KPBX. And I just remember Norvel coming in and just kind of walking up to me in the studio and putting his hands on my shoulders and said, come on, Jane, now we're going to go take a nap. And I'm like, ah! And he goes, no, it'll be okay in the morning. And he literally tucked me into my sleeping bag and sat there until I fell asleep. And, when I woke up in the morning and Vern came in, and they made calls to Boston and said, hey, we have this problem. And they're like, hey, no problem. We've got this high-tech equipment. We can take the hiss out or make it pretty minimal. And everything was fine. But I'll never, ever forget that kindness and that tenderness. And this was during a time when he was in a lot of pain and a lot of misery. For him to really reach out like that. I mean, he did save my life as far as I was concerned. And so I love him. And because I live in Sandpoint and eventually got my own studio, I didn't come into KPBX very often. But whenever I would, and I do love his program, and whenever he'd be on the radio, I'd call him and we'd talk, you know, in between songs and pieces he was playing. And then, you know, when he met Zan and fell in love with Zan, I was like, oh God, Norvel, thank you God, you know, for this. This is so awesome. They deserved one another and all that beautiful love. And so, you know, when he retired, there was, you know, not the phone calls, and so it was really shocking for me to see him go so quickly and not be part of any of that, sadly. But it's hard, it's a bittersweet thing to listen to him every Sunday night. I go, okay, we're gonna get through this one more night. And I love it, and, you know, and it's hard. But I'm so pleased to see so many people here because he was truly a unique individual and so amazing. So thank you.